Trying to do everything yourself might feel noble, but it's probably costing you more than you even realize. Time, energy, revenue growth, it all suffers when you're trying to do it all instead of just being CEO. And so today we're going to dive into what are the real costs of DIY and what it takes to finally let go. Welcome to the Hobby to Profitability podcast. We're all about figuring out what it really takes to build a successful and thriving business. I'm Jacqueline Green, marketing nerd, AI consultant, and entrepreneur who's been through it all. My goal is to help you get the strategies, the tools, and the mindset shift you need to grow your business without the stress and confusion. Every week, we'll dive into real, unfiltered side of entrepreneurship, the mindset shifts, the strategic moves, and the unexpected lessons that come with building a business. We'll talk about what actually works and what doesn't, how to navigate those changes and challenges that you face, and how to create a business that really fits into your life. If you're ready to turn your passion into profit without the overwhelm, you're in the right place. So hey there, welcome back to Hobby to Profitability. I'm Jacqueline Green, your host. In today's episode, we are going to talk about something that might feel a little uncomfortable and it might resonate with several of you. But I promise it's a necessary discussion that we need to have. And I can tell you this with so much certainty because I have been there. But we're talking about the hidden cost of doing it all yourself as a business owner. Because here's the truth. When you first start out in your business, when I first started out, I thought I had to know everything, that I had to do everything to serve my clients, that if I didn't know it, somehow there was something wrong, that I wasn't good enough or wasn't worthy enough of the business. Instead of hiring experts to do it, I would spend hours, sometimes days, weeks, trying to learn how to do something. And I give you a prime example of this. When I first went on my own, I had been working for large corporations. And so if I had a tech issue, I simply would call up the tech team and be like, hey, can I have this fixed? And sure enough, it'd be fixed. When you're working on your own, all of a sudden you don't have a help desk. You don't have a team that works primarily on the website and the technology behind that. You don't have those resources. So you logically think, well, I have to do that myself. Even though you have no knowledge of it or background in it, you try to teach yourself these things, and it can be really frustrating and very time consuming. But as your business grows, you continue to kind of have that mindset of, oh, well, I'll just figure it out. It's quicker if I figure it out. And even when I started hiring, I found myself micromanaging. I hate that term. I hate micromanaging, but I was holding on to tasks way longer than I needed to. And it wasn't because I didn't trust, my team. I had hired someone full time. She was very capable. She was very willing to learn. I had systems and processes in place. It was more about me than it was about her. Does that sound familiar to any of you? Well, if you felt this way and handing off something just is that feeling of you're losing control, no one else can do it the way you can do it, it's just quicker. It's just quicker for you to do it yourself. I'm telling you, you're not alone. And that's what today's episode is all about. So if you've ever felt like handing something off means losing control, or no one else can do it as well as you, or the feeling of, well, I'll just do it because it's quicker for me just to go ahead and do it and get it done, you're not alone in those feelings. But that mindset might very well be holding you back from real growth and from growing your revenue from 0 to $1 million. And that's what we're talking about here. We're going to break it down into 3 different parts in this particular episode. We're going to talk about 1, why so many entrepreneurs fall in that DIY trap. The second thing we're going to cover are the real costs. What are the financial, emotional, and strategic costs that are associated with doing it all yourself? And the final thing is we're going to go step by step and give you a roadmap to help you to know what to delegate, what you need to keep, and how to shift it from doing it all yourself to really relying on either the team that you've built or outsourcing it to freelancers or other people that you can trust. Now, a quick reminder before I go further and before we get started, please hit subscribe if you haven't already so that you don't miss out on any episodes. All right, so let's jump in. Let's start with the emotional truth. Most of us don't do it all because we want to. We do it all because we're afraid. So let me repeat that. We don't do it all because we want to. We do it because we're afraid. And there's that fear within every business owner when you first get started that you're going to waste money, or you're going to lose control, or somebody's going to represent your brand in a way that you do not necessarily believe in. Often we think, why pay someone when, it won't take me very long. I'll just figure this out. Or we fear that losing control. We think, well, what if they don't do it right? Or what about if they say something wrong? Or what about if they make people mad? Now, I've lived in all of this for a long time. I've been an entrepreneur since 2011, and I have been there. I would stay up late at night trying to, work out the technical aspects behind my website. When I first started out in marketing on my own as a consultant, I did a WordPress website. I knew no HTML. I learned it. I really did not know anything about the technical aspects. And if you're not familiar with WordPress, that yes, it does allow you to upload content fairly easy when it's set up, but I did it from scratch and I didn't know what I didn't know. And so I would stay up late at night stressing about it, and then the site wouldn't do what I wanted it to do. It was just, it took me a long time in that state before I realized that if I just paid a little bit more money, I could move it over to Kajabi. And yeah, I didn't have all of the different customizations, but for what I needed it could do what I needed it to do. And yes, it was more expensive, but in the end, I was really glad that I eventually gave up on the WordPress website and moved into something that was more manageable for my business. Now, I've also been in that place where you're afraid to trust someone else. I've hired people that didn't work out. I've hired people that did things that were not up to what I felt like my brand was. I've also hired people that have essentially ripped me off. Some of this is part of doing business, but it makes you feel like you're either not making wise decisions or it makes you feel like you can't trust yourself. This all goes into the fear. And the hard truth about it is that when we worry so much about perfectionism and control, that's actually killing our growth. And so when we want everything to be perfect or we want to control everything, your business it has its own energy and it cannot grow. It's going to be stifling. You're stifling itself. But even worse, you're stifling your own growth when you're trying to control everything. And so often we tell ourselves that we're being responsible. This stuff has to get done. We're going to take care of it. We're going to work those extra hours and do everything that is required to get our job, our business rolling and get it moved in the right direction. But what happens is you end up burning out. And you waste more time than hiring experts who can do it a lot quicker and a lot faster. And when you start breaking down, one, the emotions behind it, but two, what your time is actually worth to learn something new and apply that and figure that out and stress and worry about it, it really starts to add up and you realize, okay, that's a huge cost that I shouldn't be doing that. I shouldn't be worrying about updating and maintaining my website when there are experts out there that will actually charge me pretty minimal, a few $100s a month just to manage my website and update it for me. That might be worth it. And so you really have to look at where is your time spent that is most valuable for the growth of your business. Now, let me give you another example. When I hired my first full-time employee, it was really weird. I'd only hired at that point for my business. I mean, I'd hired back in corporate and all that, but for my business, I'd only hired consultants. And so there was always that, when you hire a consultant, they're not really part of your company, but when you hire a full-time employee, it changes the dynamic a little bit, and you're responsible now for this person. They're focused on you. But even though I had those systems in place, it took me a little bit to trust her, and it felt really weird with me handing stuff off. There's still days that I'll hand stuff off, and I'm like, I don't actually have to be doing this. This is something that my marketing manager could do very easily instead of me worrying about it. And it has become this very freeing feeling of going, hold on, is my time valuable setting up this form on our website? Or can I ask someone else on the team to do it? And so we look at that, and that's where leadership really comes into place. One, you always want to make sure you're training your employees on and giving them the resources. But there is a level of knowing and trusting your employees and making sure that if you've hired well and you trust them, that you can give them projects and it will be done within the systems and processes that you set up. Leadership is about guiding. It's not about micromanaging. And if you're holding on too tight, it doesn't mean that you're a bad leader. It just means that you're human. And this is your business. And you feel like a lot of times when we start a business, it just feels like it's a part of you. And to let go of that is a hard thing to really recognize. But when we finally do recognize it and we start moving forward with it, then your business can really grow beyond just you. Let's be real. Random marketing tactics aren't going to grow your business. It's like throwing spaghetti at a wall, hoping the spaghetti will stick. If you're tired of spinning your wheels, or in this case, throwing spaghetti, then it's time to take a smarter approach. The Marketing Momentum Workshop is built for small business owners just like you, who need real results, not just more marketing noise. In one 4-hour session, we will work with you to pinpoint the best strategies and create a roadmap for your business that's going to help it grow. Take the first step. Book your free marketing health check now at behindthedesignco.com, and let's get your business moving in the right direction. So we talked about the emotional side, but let's talk about what the real cost of doing it all for you. What is it costing you? The first thing we talked about was time. Time is a commodity in business. Your time is the most valuable thing that you have to offer. And you have a limited number of hours that you can spend on whatever within your business, realistically. And yes, you're going to hear, I know there are tons of people out there, oh, you should be get started at 5 a.m. and you should work till midnight until you blah, 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 whatever. I want to just scream with those people, because if you have kids, if you have a life, if you have family, you don't want to be spending 12, 14 hours a day working in your business. You went into business so that you wouldn't have to work long extra hours. Now, does it require extra hours, long hours? Yes. But if you are smart with your time, you don't necessarily have to work more hours. You just have to spend the hours you have more wisely. That's what I'm trying to say. So if you look at it and say, okay, I don't really know how to do this, or I need to Let's just say I need a new landing page and I want to set up a series of emails. Now, how did I do this last time? And how am I going to do it this time? And what's that process going to be? This is where processes come into play. But once you kind of, as a CEO, say, this is what I want to accomplish, this is what I'm giving out, this is the information I want to collect in a short brief, that can be handed over to someone else to do all the design work and updating and putting the right SEO words and adding the right form. And so your time is a lot more valuable working with your clients, going out and networking and finding more business, doing the things that are revenue generating that are going to help grow the business. I once heard a woman that owns a multi-million-dollar business, and basically what she says is there's 3 things in a business that you want to focus on as CEO, or anybody within the business really. Is it revenue generating? Is it something that's moving the business forward long term? So sometimes we have investments within our business that aren't necessarily going to generate revenue today, but it will 6 months from now. You're developing a course, maybe you're developing a product. There's certain tasks that have to be done to launch something down the road. So is it something that's moving the business forward and growing the business long term? And the third one is, are you helping your clients? So those are the 3 areas that your time should be spent as a business. And if they don't fit, if whatever task you're doing doesn't fit into those 3 buckets, it's probably not worth your time. Now, the next thing that you're losing out on is energy. Doing it all drains you. You feel guilty. You end up feeling exhausted. You're frustrated with yourself. I cannot tell you how many times I have finally sat down at the end of the evening after working one of those 12-hour days and just felt like I did absolutely nothing, even though I just worked a very long day, because I wasn't using my creative energy right. I wasn't using my talents in the way that I needed to be. I was too busy focused on some things that I could turn over to someone else who is a lot faster at it, a lot quicker, and that could get it done at much better than I can do it myself. And so understanding that directly affects my energy and where my energy comes from, I need to be, as CEO, working on innovation. How do I lead this team? How do I show up fully for my clients and my team? What am I doing to grow the business? Not on the little tiny little tasks. Now, that's easy to say when you have a team, but you can build your team around you. You can get freelancers and contractors that you can trust. Vetting, of course, you must vet, you must test them, but you can actually do this. It doesn't require, you don't have to touch everything. Next thing is your lost revenue. Maybe you're not launching something because you're having the tech part of it isn't ready, or maybe you're underpricing because you've had to rework the offer over and over. Or you're missing out on leads because your website hasn't been updated in months. Or you're missing out on even posting on social even though you know you're supposed to. Hiring somebody to help you with those tasks that you're not getting to or that are important to your business that you just don't have the time for, that's lost revenue. And that really hurts when you think about it. Remember, time, energy, money. Time is money. Energy is money. Everything around your business is about growing your business. And then there's missed growth opportunities. When we're so focused on administrative tasks, we miss out on the big picture. And it's so important that, and I've talked about this in a previous episode, that we look at what are the priorities of the business week by week, day by day, every month. What are we working on? How does that impact our revenue growth? Everything that I do, I think of it, is this a revenue growth or is it not? If it's not, we need to scrap it. It's just not important right now. We're too small of a lean team to worry about things that really don't matter for our clients and for our team itself. And so we're very mindful of that. So DIYing might feel like you're being scrappy and smart in that business, especially in the beginning, but over time it becomes really expensive and it plays a big role on your company not growing the way it's supposed to grow, not just in dollars, but in all the other ways as well. So you might be sitting there thinking, yeah, okay, this is me. And even as I'm recording this, I'm sitting there in my head going, there are a couple things I need to go ahead and hand off. I'm not bringing enough value in some cases where somebody else can bring more value than I can. And so holding on too tight is also another part of this, where sometimes when we rely on other people, they have a different perspective and they can bring a totally different energy to it and a different creative mind that's actually better than what I have to offer. And as much as I think, okay, I'm pretty smart, there's actually a lot of people that are a lot smarter than me in these other areas and stronger in other areas. I need to rely on them. So let's talk about the solution. You know you have a problem. You know that this is tying up your business. So let's talk about what's that roadmap to get you out of the DIY trap and into that role of CEO. Now we're going over, this is brief, of course, because it's a podcast, so there's a lot more to it, but I wanted to give you and leave you with some steps. The first thing that I recommend you do is do an inventory of everything you do. Make a simple, I don't care if it's just a piece of paper on your desk, whether it's a Google Doc, whether it's just something you've printed out, write down and be honest about everything you're doing every day for a couple weeks, 2 weeks minimum. Write down how long it's taking you. Now, look at all of those tasks. Identify what's a reoccurring task. Look at what are tasks that do not need your assistance. Maybe they're administrative. Maybe they're not needed at all. Maybe they're a complete utter waste of time. Ask yourself, is this something only I can do? Or is this something else that either I can build a system around to take care of, or I can train someone to do? And now when I say build a system around it, what are those recurring tasks that maybe AI can take over? Or maybe it's time for you to hire a virtual assistant to help you out, 5 to 10 hours a week, just to get some of those smaller things off of your plate that are more administrative, that don't take your brain or you actually physically doing them. So the first is identifying those different things that maybe somebody else can actually do. Next, you want to identify the bottlenecks. So where are there bottlenecks? What are you procrastinating on? What is not getting done that's been hanging over you and that you keep thinking, I need to get that done. Oh, I forgot to do that. Oh yeah, I got to get that done. Procrastination is usually a sign, and we usually procrastinate either because it's so big we don't know where to start, or we have some sort of fear around that. But what are we procrastinating on? And really look at, okay, why? I just don't know how to do this, or I don't know the technology behind it, or is it I just really don't want to do it? Look at those things. What are you procrastinating? So what are the things that are also stressing you out the most? I can tell you bookkeeping stresses me out. So hire a good bookkeeper. Seriously, it helps so much when you have a good bookkeeper. What are the things that are keeping you up at night that you can let go of? Also look at the things that you really love doing. What are the things that bring you energy? If you go to networking events and you are energized by that, then you should be spending more time networking and connecting with prospects and potential clients than necessarily doing the administrative side of the business. And so being really smart about what is it that you're really good at and what are the things that you're not. On the opposite, you might be really good at the back end stuff and not necessarily the front facing things. Now, I was more of the back end. I like staying in the back end, but I've actually forced myself to be in the front. I do a ton of networking. I go to a ton of things, and I am doing this podcast. I do videos. All of that I have had to kind of force myself to do, and now I'm sort of used to it. But if I'm really honest with myself, a lot of these things do drain my energy, but it is good for my business, so therefore I'm the face of my business. All right, and then look at the things that you should be delegating that really, if you're honest with yourself, that you don't need to be doing. Okay, so we have our list, right? We have this list of things that we know what we're wasting our time on. We have a list of all the things that we've identified that were the bottleneck on it or we're creating a problem related to that. Now, I want you to start small. You don't have to outsource everything today. Start by delegating one task and then another and then another. If you do not have a staff at all, try hiring a virtual assistant or someone to take off a few things off your plate. If you're struggling with marketing, find a marketing company. That's basically what my company does. We help people with building the strategy and then doing, because so many of our clients go, I know I'm supposed to be doing this, but I don't know, and I don't make time for it, and blah, 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 blah. There's always an excuse. Find someone out there, but start small. You don't have to pay a ton of money for a big marketing agency. Maybe it's a few hours a month that you just need help with, but find those things and you start delegating and build that muscle up that you're comfortable with delegating. As you delegate and people do things and surprisingly well for you, I promise it gets a little easier. You're like, oh, wow, that was so easy. She got this done in like half the time I would have got it done, and it's done right. That's awesome. All right. You want to make sure you are creating systems for things that you're delegating. Simple things might not need a full system, but just the simple act of a VA going through your email and helping build a system on identifying what actually needs to come to me, what can be deleted, what needs follow-up that I don't necessarily, maybe the VA needs to follow up. Just think about how the more systems you put in place, the more that the people you're delegating to are going to be successful, and it's going to be done the way you're expecting it to be done. Okay, and then next you're going to reframe as you move through this process what leadership really looks like. Leadership is not doing it all. Business ownership is not doing it all. It means you need to be focusing as CEO on your vision, on your growth, on creating a business that can run without you in every detail. That's how you get to $1 million plus. You don't touch every single little thing. And if you look at anybody's business that are over that $1 million plus mark, I would even say over the 500,000, even lower mark, it's because they have a team. It's honestly because they've hired people in the right positions. Doesn't mean it has to be a large team, but that's the truth of the matter. They've hired people to help them. And not necessarily full-time. It could be just, I'm going to outsource my website here. I'm going to do this here. I'm going to do that there. But they hire people to help them because it's just not possible as business owners to do it all. And you're going to burn yourself out. So remember this, though. You didn't start this business to be stuck in all these tasks, to be exhausted, to be up stressing about everything. You wanted to build something that was bigger than you. And so you got to make that bridge to the next level by letting go. So here's your invitation. I want you to take your to-do list this week and ask yourself, what am I doing that someone else could do 80% as well, if not better? Because if somebody else can do that task at 80% or better, it's worth taking off your plate. It really is. And if you want to help with creating that clear roadmap, marketing strategy, and where you're going and how you're going to get there, make sure you book a free marketing assessment call with me, and we'll talk about the Marketing Momentum Workshop, which is a custom program. We work one-on-one and build out your strategy and roadmap to really help you identify where you're going as a business. You can find more information about that on our website, and I will also put it down in the description, and that's behindthedesign.co.com. And don't forget to subscribe. I don't want you to miss an episode. Next week, our next episode, we're going to be talking about the simple business plan, what you actually need to succeed. And we're going to break down how to build a powerful, actionable plan. It does not need to be 50 pages. I promise you, a couple pages will do, but it helps you stay focused on growing that business and not getting off into, some other areas and getting distracted. Staying focused on the strategies, really working through strategies is really important for your business. So we're going to talk about that. I want to thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time on the Hobby to Profitability podcast. Thank you for listening to the Hobby to Profitability podcast with Jacqueline Green. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a friend. You can learn more about Behind the Design at our website at behindthedesignco.com, and be sure to connect with me on LinkedIn or subscribe to the Behind the Design channel on YouTube for more great business growth strategies. Now, I'll see you next time.